what will be the few words that you can say about last game?
Complete domination.
Another win. I know a lot of people going to say, well, it was the Jets, this and that.
Richmond, you can get back there and run behind that offensive line the way that they...
The Dolphins, 6-7.
Hey, everyone. It's Richmond Webb. Hey, thanks for joining again. And we're back for another review of the Dolphins game. If you don't mind, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we will get into it and talk football. And glad to have you back with us again this week.
Complete domination. Those are my couple words. I just think that, like, just the way that the defense really came out and really just put the hurting on them. Like, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. The only touchdown came via pretty impressive, punt return, right? So to me, and this is, I think, the way that the defense has been trying to play all year, right? I know specifically those young 3 rookie defensive tackles are starting to come into their own a little bit, which is making everything a lot easier for the guys behind them, right? So to me, that's what I was looking at, right? Like, it's just complete domination. You got to give credit to that defense for really starting to grow into their own, those 3 young cubs on the D line. But then, offensively, look, I mean, I feel like Richmond, you could get back there and run behind that offensive line the way that they they moving bodies out there. It's pretty impressive, right? Obviously, Line Achane went down, and so we'll ask Mike for some clarity about that today. But to me, like, they invested heavily in rookies, right? Jonas Savai on the offensive line, the 3 rookie defense tackles that I just mentioned, and to see them start to finally come into their own has been great because, when you invest that young, you're kind of rolling the dice in terms of when are they going to catch up to NFL speed, right? And so they are finally starting to get there, and that's the reason why this offense and defense is cooking the way it is, specifically offensively, like in the run game, right? Is very, very a smash mouth football, and to me, like, this is very conducive to playing. In December and January, like these cold winter months, you want to be able to pound the rock and play defense. And so I'm just excited that that's finally what this team's starting to do.
And Richmond, your few words?
Yeah, I agree with Isaiah. I mean, the other thing I'd like to add to that is, we know the Jets are struggling this year, but
Of course,
when you have a team that's not on your level, you're supposed to go out and show them that they're not on their level and keep them down. And I think they did that from the start of the game throughout, offensive, defensively. And he's right. Those rookies are starting to come together, and everybody doesn't adjust to the speed of the game at the same time. But and it's coming together. Anthony Weaver's defense is looking like it kind of finished up last year. We know we dug ourselves in a hole, but I just love the way the guys are competing now, taking it one game at a time. And it really helps your mental and your psyche when you can kind of get on the roll, especially in November and December. Hey, we just gonna let them. We just keep taking them one game at a time. Let the chips fall where they may. But if it's scary sometimes when a team gets hot late in the season, because now they got the momentum rolling, and then they believe in. And a lot of times, those are the teams that you don't want to see. So another win. I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, it was the Jets, this and that." It's an NFL team. They had some, injuries. They've had some quarterback issues, but if they have issues, I think you should exploit those issues and continue to show them that, hey, you really shouldn't be on the field with us. And that's what the Dolphins did. So hats off to them.
No, and just to carry on that point, like, we've seen this team kind of put the hurting on them early and then back off and not keep the foot on their necks, like the Panthers game, right? Like, that game should have been over, and they didn't finish, right? And so when you give a team that is, when you give a team hope, right, they're gonna cling onto it for dear life and try to fight, scratch, and claw their way back, and that's what the Panthers did, however many weeks ago. And so the Dolphins to be able to not give the Jets that opportunity, to me, is representative of just how much this defense and offense has grown, for sure.
Hey, you know what, Isaiah? I trained Richmond this year to be a YouTuber, and I always say to him, we start the first thing to create the hook you know what it is. So, and I always ask him to give me nuggets, some
Yeah,
words, like you say, completely dominant, but he never
yeah.
give me that. Richmond, you have to work. Next season, I want you. It's the rookie year, but next season, I put you in front of Bruce Smith. Huh? Be careful, man.
Oh boy,
Hey,
definitely
anytime.
not. That's definitely not the Jets down here.
Yeah, it's
You
another
matching me
level.
up
I
pretty
know.
tough there. Yeah, you matching me up pretty tough right there. Yeah.
And also, Richmond, we have a special guest today. So I try to say it perfectly. I will try, Isaiah. I
Yeah,
need to
go
try it.
ahead.
I mean, if I don't make the effort, it means that you don't. You being there today doesn't mean anything to me, but it means the world. So Isaiah Smalls II.
Yeah,
Eh,
C.
that's
Isaiah
right.
Smalls
Or
II.
two.
C. You
See,
forgot the
Isaiah
C.
C.
hey,
Period. Isaiah Smalls. Yeah.
C.Isaiah Smalls II.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
You have
Perfect.
to improve every day. You have to improve every day. So
Look, I feel you.
that's I understand I have to improve. I will work hard. Don't worry, but it's important. Names are important. So thank you to joining today. You come from the Miami Herald. If you can just explain what you're doing to the
Yeah.
audience, it will be perfect.
Yeah. I'm a sports and culture writer for the Miami Herald, who's covered the Dolphins the last couple seasons. Did a lot of writing about like, black culture here in Miami for about like 4 years prior. But I'm with the team, 5 days out of the week. The Dolphins kind of run my schedule, so yeah, I'm locked in. Like, and it's been a good season. A lot of ups and downs. Obviously, Richmond mentioned the hole that this team dug itself in, but they're obviously starting to come around now. So it's been a good time.
And you're also on YouTube because I
Yes,
can imagine you are too humble, but it's a YouTuber also, but with someone special also. Can you talk
yes,
about that?
yeah. Omar and I are on the Dolphins in Depth podcast. That's something that we host. It's been a great opportunity just to really like kick it with Omar. Like he's obviously been in this game a while, and so to be able to get like those little nuggets that you mentioned earlier, right, from him and just the rest of the media room, right? It's been dope because I'm only 2 years out here, right? So I've done like a lot of reporting before in my past, but this is my first time covering an NFL team, really any professional sports team, right? So, but I'm very familiar with football. My dad used to work for the Lions when I was a kid, right? So I went to my first game at like 2 months old. So
Ooh,
I've been, yeah, and I was
you've been in it
quiet
for a
too.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I was quiet too, and that's when my dad was like, "Oh, this baby might be a little bit special because you're quiet." A bunch of rowdy Lions fans. I'm sure you know how they get. Like, and I was silent, so I guess certain things are destined, right? So I grinded, however many years, and now I'm here, right? So I'm excited just for the opportunity to be able to talk with you guys.
I will put all the information in on description. I think it's important for friends and fans and European fans to watch what Isaiah is doing, and also because people get mad against Omar because sometimes it's speaking the truth. But
Yeah,
you have to be
yeah,
realistic sometimes. You don't have to go
yeah,
fly too much. And the situation is the situation. Sometimes you have to accept it. That's why
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Omar and keep doing Omar. Never stop. We need to hear about the truth. But today I'm with you, Isaiah, with a legend,
Mhm.
Richmond Webb, 7-time Pro Bowl, 4 All-Pro, member of the 90 All-Decade team, and a semi-finalist of the Pro Football class of Hall of Fame of class of 2026. I still struggling so much. There is too much world. But anyway, Richmond, how are you, man?
I'm good, and I was kind of intrigued that Isaiah. I mean, you made a transition, like you said,
Mhm.
covering black culture,
Mhm.
that aspect, but then moving to sports. Not that you didn't know it, but it just gives you another opportunity to grow and expand, and it's a different audience most of the time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was kind of thinking when you and Dan were just talking a minute ago about Omar. I mean, you gotta have thick skin, especially covering sports, because people like me, and I'm that way. I'm with my heart instead of just saying, "Hey, this is what it is." Because when you do it with your heart, you see one thing, but you hoping it's something else, and
Yep.
to be able to report it and still remain cordial with you, He
Yeah.
always does. He doesn't take it personal. So he
Yeah.
just does a
Yeah.
good job. And yeah, I got to check y'all podcast out. But
Yeah.
man,
Definitely.
I'm happy to hear that like you say, you growing and expanding, and you study evolving. Just like you're not reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
You just spreading your coverage. So
That's
that's
real.
awesome. Yeah, I like to hear that.
That's real. No, it's definitely another dimension. Like, look, like I said, I grew up in the between Ohio and I'm tripping. Ohio and Detroit. When my parents divorced, so big like Ohio State fan. Obviously, grew up watching Ohio State football. I'm going to the Lions games. When my mom moved to the East Coast to Delaware, dropped me right in the middle of like Eagles country, right? And so, like, been around some obsessed fans my entire life. So it's only right that I come down here, and like now that it's a different level of obsession down here. So hopefully we get some more wins and that bring that obsession to a pandemonium down here. That would be good.
See, you built for it. You didn't even know what you was getting ready for. Your parents got
Exa-
you ready, and now it's like, hey, you got your
exactly,
armor and all that. You ready to go. So that's good. I love hearing that. And
exactly.
tough loss on Saturday, but y'all,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
you missed the field goal. I'm thinking it's going to be an overtime. I think it possibly be two great teams, and
yeah.
I went to Texas A&M, so we
Okay,
got
okay,
we
okay.
got the Hurricanes coming up this weekend, and
Yeah,
then if we
that's gonna
get
be a
past
good one.
them, we go to Ohio. So don't take it personal now.
Look,
We cool right now, but a week later we
yeah. Look, I'm for all of the fireworks. I think we're entering into like a very special part of
yeah.
like the football season, right? So I'm very excited. Of course, yeah, I was very disappointed with at that loss, but I mean, Julian's saying he's still a young guy, first time starter. Like that probably was the biggest game of his life. And he pressure hits everybody differently. There are some throws I'm sure he would like back. He sometimes tends to like push the ball down the field, which I love, right? Like I want a quarterback that can push the ball down the field, but sometimes you gotta take the easy one. So hopefully he's learned that. Ryan Day's getting his ear, but we have an opportunity to do some
You still
greatness. So
got
I'm
yeah.
excited.
That's it.
I'm still excited. So
Eh, Isaiah, every week, Richmond I have to bring the Texas A&M thing on the show. I can't control him. You know what? So we will talk about the Eagles today, just because
okay,
of that. No,
okay,
no.
We'll talk
I'm
about
doing
the
the
Eagles.
joke every week. It's time to move on of that joke, right? And also the Dolphins 6-7. Let's
hmm
talk about that. I mean, I remember a couple of weeks ago we were like 2-7, something that three
yeah,
seven,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
a totally different story now. So beating the Jets, I mean, how good it is to beating the Jets. It's like going on your first date and have your first kiss on your first date. It's like a complete, because
that's real.
we beat them twice also, so it's great. Isaiah, what is you talk about the defense, so
Mhm.
but what is your look about that team beating the Jets? I mean, it was the game that if you don't take care of and don't respect the game, you can lose it because that's
Yeah,
how the NFL works.
yeah.
And they did the job. And I think that my first question is: are we all agree that now the Miami Dolphins offense is a running type offense?
Oh yeah,
How
yeah,
do we
definitely.
accept that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%, 100%. I think we're seeing an offense kind of evolve in real time because unfortunately, like Tua is not the quarterback that everyone had hoped for, right? Like his mobility seems to be non-existent, right? And the accuracy sometimes is a little bit of a question, right? So I think just with everything that is kind of happening in that regard with him specifically, you kind of have to shift, right? And shout out Line Achane for kind of stepping up, right? He is always been a good player, right? But I think he's taken the step to great this year, right? Obviously hit the 1,000-yard mark. We know what he can do as a pass catcher. So like and then obviously he goes down. Jalen Wright comes in, right? And Jalen Wright definitely showed me some good stuff. I think for me, I think he's going to take that next step once his vision improves because there's a few runs. Yes, and I was like like if that's Devon, that's going for 10, 15 instead of going for 3 or 4, right? And just because Devon is a very patient runner, very patient, lets the blocks happen, and then he's gonna, use his speed to get there. And not that Jalen Wright was scared, but not by any stretch of the imagination. But he was just, he doesn't necessarily have that. He gets antsy sometimes, right? And just tries to hit instead of just being that patient. So, but even when Jalen Wright stepped in, had a career day, obviously career high in carries, yards, and even scored the first touchdown of his career. So shout out him for doing that. So it's definitely a run first team. I'm wondering whether Ali is still a little bit banged up because just the carry distribution, right? I expected kind of a little bit more of a shared situation, but they heavily relied on Jalen Wright, and he answered the call, and it kind of, I'm sure, gives the team a little bit of a sigh of relief knowing that, like, okay, God forbid if Achane's out for a game or so, we have Jalen Wright. I would hope though that that's not the case though, because this offense really goes as far as Achane. So hopefully he's good. We'll obviously, like I said, find out more about that today. Definitely stay locked into my Twitter. So
And Richmond, before you saying, I'm your best friend, Richmond. The first question, go back to Texas A&M player. I have to respect you, man.
We've talked about Devon Achane, and
Yeah.
for him, like you said, he's, to me, definitely been the offensive MVP of his football team this year. The way he's played, and then to make that milestone, become 1,000-yard rusher this year, especially the way the season started off, is tremendous. So I'm definitely happy for him. And also, I think I can remember back early in the season where the Dolphins, a lot of teams, it was kind of leaked out that we wasn't a very physical team. But now you look at it, offense or defense, we're just hitting people in the mouth. It's almost like the old 70s teams when Greasy was here. This pre Dan Moreno, and they were really heavy on the run. But I think even this game against the Jets, I kind of watched Tua. I think it takes a lot of pressure off of him that if the running game is going, he seemed like he still made some questionable throws, but it was a lot better than what it's normally been. I think, like I said, as we continue to win, hopefully he can regain that form that he was a couple of years ago. Because if we had the way he was throwing the ball a couple of years ago with this running game, we would be some serious problems for some people. And I think now teams are starting to look and say, hey, with the Dolphins, you're going to have to stop the run. If you can't stop the run, it's going to be a problem because it seemed like McDaniel's play calling, everything is kind of coming together at the right time. So that's what I'm seeing some of the same things that Isaiah's seeing, and it's good to see it because we've been waiting on it, for over half the season, and it's starting to come together. So I think everybody's happy right now.
My question for you, right, is, I know Devon Achane his agent is probably going to be ringing up the Dolphins anytime soon. Would you give, knowing what he means to this offense, but then also weighing the realities of being a running back in this league, are you going to be on the side of pay the man, or are you exercising some caution in that area?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to pay the man. And some of the things, because even when he came out of college, he could run between the tackles. I remember watching him. The only thing that kind of concerned me about it was just his frame, because he was world class sprinter, this and that. But for the most part, he's been banged up a little bit, but for the most part, he's been pretty consistent. So, I think you got it. I think you got to pay him, and I think he's one of those core guys. And I always talk about this. It's certain guys that it's more than just looking at, do we pay him or not? How important that he is in the locker room. Is he one of the core guys that guys look up to kind of keep what you're trying to put together? And I think he's part of that nucleus. Even with like Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think he's one of those guys. Certain guys you got to it's more than just looking at what do they do between the lines, all that. You got to pay attention to that and then say, hey, he brings another element that, in order for us to continue to have success, this is one of the guys that people look up to and kind of keep things together when things get going rough. So me, of course, you're Aggie. That's my little brother. I'm going give him a little bit of that cheddar. He's worked hard, and I think he should be rewarded. Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Richmond, I will put you in a more uncomfortable situation now, because
Uh-oh.
we have been questioning McDaniel, the fact that he is able to coach that team, sometimes play calling, but look, I think, and I'm saying humbly, I'm someone from the couch, so everything I say it like an humble way. But I feel the issues Tua have this season can't be fixed during the season. It's
Mm.
something that you have to work in all season. So I think McDaniel has made the perfect choice. He give the offense in something that works instead of forcing Tua to push to throw the ball maybe 26 times a game. He give the ball to Achane. It works with Jalen Wright, which means I guess the offensive line can wait that. So it's the preferred combination. So maybe it's the first time that during the McDaniel era, he has been able to adjust during the season the situation. And I ask you that it is why it's working. And I'm not talking about the defense from now, just
Mm.
talking about the offense. But I think the moment that Etienne get more involved, this is the moment when this team has been winning. And remember what happened with the Buffalo Bills. That's where I think everything starts, even if Etienne has been a stud since day one. What do
Mm.
you guys think about that? It was something that I know Isaiah, Omar, you guys have been talking a lot during the
Mm.
season, but I think it's great that McDaniel change a little bit his offense and not be a pass focus with the motion, of course,
Mm.
offense.
Well, I'll start out. I think one of the things, and it's an unfortunate thing, but when Tyreek Hill got hurt, I think it caused other guys to get more opportunities to either display what they could do, or it forced you to kind of rethink something and say, rather than just we relied heavily on Tyreek Hill. I guess I'll just put it that way. But I think
Yeah.
we had other players like Jalen Waddle. We had tight ends that, if you spread the ball around, it the offense just flows better. And I think at times, we were trying to get Tyreek those numbers. Great player.
Mm.
Never seen him practice, but the way he practices, he's one of the hardest workers. That's why he was a captain.
Mm.
But you got to spread, you got to run your offense. And when you try to force things, sometimes even defense coordinators out there, they're not stupid. They're going like, okay, we know we're going to get some opportunities because they're trying to get the ball to Tyreek, this and that. And
Mm.
so, like I said, unfortunately, since he's been injured, um, Jalen Waddle, he's kind of been re-evolved. It was like a guy he was kind of forgotten about. And then like Devon Achane stepping up. Devon went down. Like you said, Jalen Wright stepped up. And I think a lot of times as a backup, you want to make sure that, hey, you don't want to be a drop off or you don't want to be considered a weak link. So I can see
Mm.
where he's just trying to run hard
Mhm.
Mm.
and not be as patient. But you could tell as the game got on, he found his
Yes,
rhythm. He
I
started
agree.
feeling it. And
I agree.
sometimes you got to do that as a running back. You got to
I
keep
agree.
touching the ball, touching it, and so it's always refreshing when you can plug another guy in there and didn't have to say, okay, hopefully Devon is not hurt bad to where we say,
Mm.
well, we can rest him because we got another guy that can carry the load,
Mm.
and that's when a team gets dangerous. But I think it gives McDaniel an opportunity to say, hey, I've got all these weapons. Let me utilize them the right way. And now I
Mm.
think he's in his bag and he's saying, okay, we're going to set
Yeah.
it up. And anytime you can run the football the way we're doing, it's going to open up the passing game, the play action and all that. And I think it takes pressure off of Tua and it's going to help him look good. And then in the offseason, and I've said this previously, if I'm him, I sit down with upper management because I guess he worked with a guy, is it Nick or Perform,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Nick.
Nick
Yeah.
Hicks,
Nick.
right?
Nick
Yeah,
Hicks. Yeah.
Nick Hicks.
He really had success, and for whatever reason, the Dolphins want to do it. But I'd be like, look, man, y'all see what I was like when I was working with this guy. If
Mm.
it's about winning football games and me being the best person, let me work with this guy and see if we can resolve whatever the issues are.
Mm.
Because now you're gonna get the best version of me, but you gotta be humble enough or just be honest enough with yourself. Say, hey, that
Yeah.
guy really made a difference in my play and the way
Yeah.
my production. I need him, and I think the Dolphins as a team it not only helps me, but it helps my teammates and it helps the Dolphins. So that's a conversation I'd be willing to have if I was him with upper management and see if we can work something out. Because a couple of years ago, he was lighting it up, and he don't have to go back to that. And I think it just makes you a much more dangerous team when you got the type of running game we got.
Yeah.
Plus, you fix the issues he got in the passing game. It takes you to another level.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you bring up a lot of good points. Uh, like when it comes to Tua specifically, like it looks like, and it's something Omar has mentioned several times. It looks like he's aged 5 years in one season, just because there's certain like for example the boots that this offense loves, right? Like it used to be he had at least enough speed to, like, if there's an edge rusher that he could get around that guy and maybe
Yeah.
run for 3 or 4 yards. Like he's totally incapable of doing that now, which is really unfortunate. But like like most quarterbacks, right? Like if most of the what people fail to understand is that most of the quarterbacks in the league, they work best when the running game is popping, because it allows you to, as Richmond said, to uh, incorporate some of the play action, to do the fakes, do all the stuff that the ball handling, as the Dolphins like to call it, that Tua is really great at, right? And this was his first clean game in a few weeks, I believe. Like I just, for me, I'm just a little bit worried about the future of Tua, just because of the lack of mobility, right? And look, I'm not saying he has to be Lamar Jackson out there, right? But I don't want you to be a statue, right? And more often than not, the pass rush is bearing down on him. Like he turns into a statue. Like I'm trying to find the stat that I had incorporated in my story, but one of the things I noticed was that, like, after that first quarter, like he kind of disappeared. And granted, like, look, like he doesn't need to pass the ball at a high level when you're when you're up that big, but like he completed what 40% of his passes. I think it was 4 for 10 for 24 yards after that first quarter, right? And granted, they built such a league that you don't really need him tossing the ball around, but you would want numbers, right? Because one of the other things that this team didn't do well is they didn't really convert on third downs at a high level, right? And against the better teams, that's going to be an issue, right? So, obviously, they beat the Jets, good job, clap, like, but it's Monday now. Now we got to focus on the Steelers, right? You have a week left to get ready for the Steelers, and Steelers, it's going to be a tough game because that team plays hard. You know how Mike Tomlin's teams are; they play hard. They're going to try to run the ball on you. They have a veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, who last time he played the Dolphins did not look like the old man Aaron Rodgers. Like he kind of lit them up in the season finale last year, right? So the last thing you want is for him to kind of get going and get in a groove with his receivers, and then on that defense, right? Like they are going to try to take away that run. So Tua has to be good enough to make the defense pay in situations, right? And obviously Jalen Ramsey's over there. He's very familiar with Tua, and he's going to be talking his talk the entire game. So I mean, like this is a big matchup to me. Like this is a little bit for the season, right? I feel like every game it's kind of been building up to this point, right? Like to me, like, and I said it at the beginning of this run, like, when after they beat the Bills, it's like, okay, you guys have a path back into some level of being in the hunt, right? Obviously, you need some teams to lose, but this is a game on the road in a very hostile, cold environment like Pittsburgh. Like this is the game that, if you are really the evolved football team that you guys have claimed to be, this is the time where you kind of got to defeat that. We can't play in the cold narrative, right? So we'll see. Like I said, I have faith because December football is running the ball and smacking people in the mouth there. Then also, I'm being very physical on defense, something that this team has. I just wanted to see it travel to Pittsburgh on Monday.
Yeah, and I jump on this, Isaiah, because that is true. For me, I seeing the Steelers games, like I've been on honeymoon and you go back to home and that's the reality start, And this is, Jets, what's good. We have to respect any team in the NFL. I understand that narrative, but Jets are arguably one of the worst teams in the league. So if you're running for the playoff, you don't have to be shocked to win those teams. You know what I mean? Even if we have to be respectful, 100%. But the Steelers away in a dramatic game, they have to win that game. That's normally the time that Mike McDaniel don't check those boxes. You know, the must win away December. Don't lose the faith on your path to go to the playoff. I mean, today there is only 1% chance that the Dolphins going to the playoff, but that number increase every week that you win, and after that you depend of the other team. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about being 7-7. But that Steelers game means everything to this team. We will see. And about Tua, I will just finish with that. Uh, I remember Peyton Manning last year with the Broncos. They couldn't put the majority of the throws in his hand. He wasn't able to do it. So what they did, okay, on the off season, they bring defense champ caliber team. Okay, that's maybe not the case for the Dolphins, but they create a running game. So now you have to trust your running game. And the worst thing that can happen next game, it's McDaniel go back to only throwing, and I mean the what it's great about Tomlin, it's patience. Sometimes he not running to try to have 20 points advantage in 2 quarters. If you have to beat during 4 quarters, he will doing that. So my question for both: what do you think about that game? Do you think it's a winnable game for the Dolphins? And I guess it has to be an answer about the defense and the running game. If you perform in the Steelers, that means that this team, maybe with a better management at the start of the season, could be a playoff team. Isaiah or Richmond, you can jump on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Isaiah. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I'll just say basically, I think this game is important to both. It's probably more important to the Steelers because they're already in position where the Dolphins are still fighting to get up there. But I think it's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror. I mean, Isaiah said earlier, if you look at the Steelers, they play great defense. They're gonna try to put pressure on you, and then on the opposite side of the football, they run the ball. It's gonna be a physical style of running the football, and like you say, Dan, they're a very patient team. They don't try to score a lot of points. They real methodical in what they do, but they just kind of take their time and beat you up. And if they feel you're a team that's not physical, they're really gonna try to impose your will, and they'll say, hey, it might be tight for the first 2 quarters, but the third and fourth quarters when we're gonna play Steeler football and we're gonna just keep hitting them in the mouth and they'll quit. Well, that's what we've kind of evolved into, playing really great defense. So it's a heavyweight matchup. I think, hey, go in there. I definitely would hope that I think the success we've been having that Coach McDaniel would kind of stick with what we've been doing. We got Austin Jackson back, we got Patrick Paul. So I think I like our front five and to keep our tackles. You got T.J. Watt over there. You definitely want to put him in a situation where, and that's Tua's blind side because he's left-handed. So they got two good rush ends, the linebackers, this and that. Keep him out of that position, and then I think a lot of time they get upfield, it's going to be some run lanes there. So I think just really breaking down the film and seeing how we do well running the football. A lot of time we bring in that 6 offensive linemen and stuff like that. Gives them some things where that defense coordinator's got to scratch his head and say, all right, guys, we got to go 4 quarters. It ain't going to be easy, but win a dogfight. And that's what they need to know. And I think that's the way we got to prepare this game, is that it's going to be an ugly matchup. Get ready for it.
Yeah. No, 100% right. I think kind of in that regard, like you brought up a good point earlier, Dan. Like these are the games that McDaniel has historically not been able to win, right? Obviously, they got a huge victory over the Bills early in the season, but all that kind of comes down to this, right? Like if you can't win on the road in a hostile, cold environment, Like, what are we really playing football for, right? Because that's what, not like it's specifically to win this division, right? You're gonna have to go play in the cold, right? And so until you can prove that you can do that, I mean, teams are gonna look at you and just kind of laugh, right? And so that's not, we don't want to be the laughing stock, like, right? Like that's not no one wants that, right? And so the Dolphins have kind of had this turnaround where they were the laughing stock at the kind of at the beginning of the year, right? Especially after that Browns loss. You get spanked with 31-6 by the Browns. Like people looking at you crazy. And so from there, that turnaround to now, like it's been pretty incredible to see. And
Mhm.
so, but like I said, it would all be for naught if they can't go on the road and get a victory in Pittsburgh. So that's what I'm looking forward to. It's definitely a winnable game. Definitely a winnable game because Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers of old. Like you can, if you get to him, you can put him on the ground. And again, has what, like a fractured wrist or something. Like he's definitely not he's far from 100%. Credit to him for being able to gut it out and play through it. But like he's not 100%. You can he's susceptible. He's definitely susceptible. DK obviously is a big target, but
Yeah.
outside of him, like who do they? Johnny isn't really playing that well. So like you take him away, you take away that running game. Like
Hmm?
you can really win the game. So
I think that defense can do that. I mean, the defense that we have saw the past 4 games, of course. I don't want to talk about the Browns game anymore in my life. I mean, I want to believe that that game never happened. Because if the Giants are the worst team, the Browns before Shedder Sanders was close to be one of the worst in the league. But the, the defense, it's also, I mean, it's a game for McDaniel to prove it. I mean, there were Greer. You say it that way? Greer, get
yeah,
fired.
Chris Greer. Yeah, Chris Greer. Yeah.
Chris Greer get fired. So now Mike Daniels has to prove that he can earn his spot, and I think that game is the one you have to prove it. That you understand. You are a coach. Coach needs to be flexible, needs to adjust, and he start doing it. But also for the defense, for Anthony Weaver, it's one of those games that I mean, I say it clearly, he can earn a head coach spot for next season. So, I mean, this is the game you have to prove it because, as you say, you don't have so many targets in the Steelers' offense, and the running game, who has been a problem for the Dolphins early on in the season, is better now, and we have to shut out Jordan Brooks, for me, it's one of the best defense. I will not say in the league, but for the Dolphins, definitely is the heart
For
and soul
sure.
of this team. Remember Zach Thomas' impact. I mean, Zach Thomas is okay, but he is kind of the impact on the field. So I think we all agree the Dolphins have to win it that game, and it's. I mean, I don't. The only thing I want it's Dan Moreno. uh, Dude, beep. No, McDaniel, don't get crazy and not
Mm.
overthink that game. Do what it has been doing, and it's great. I mean, you have to remember that against the Jets, no touchdown allowed for the defense. It was special team touchdown. So the team is there. The team confidence, and you can win that game. I have to finish with this, Isaiah. I have to thank you because I am, in school, I'm the ugly girl. No one talk about me. And actually, you take your well, yeah, I know, Richmond. You'll have to talk about me, but we talk about that
Mm.
later. But you mentioned me on your article for
Yes,
Richmond Webb, and I really want. So actually, you are on the Call Me Dan podcast. So look at how the life goes today. But I
that's
want to
amazing.
thank you for doing that. I want
Of
to
course.
to thank you, and I want to say to everybody, it has been I have been working hours on that documentary about the Bruce Smith and Richmond Webb battle, and the only thing I can say to the entire Dolphins community, getting into the final in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is not just about deserving, and it's not just about numbers, because if it was, Richmond were probably first ballot, but it's about making noise And I have heard the Detroit Lions talk a lot about Lemus Brown. Last week you have Ochocinco talking about Willie Anderson, and I think the Dolphins former player community should making a little more noise for Richmond Webb, because sometimes it's how it works. And so I want to credit you to do this article, and that's what fascinates me the most with Richmond. So he could speak you a lot about the battles, how he battled with Bruce Smith and handle his zone during 22 games, and the only thing he did is thank the fans for the support. That's Richmond Webb. Too much humble in that race, but I want to credit you for that article. And if you want to add a few words, Isaiah, it's your moment here on the show.
I appreciate y'all for having me. Great to connect with you, Richmond. Put a face to the name. Dan, I appreciate the work you're doing. And don't sell yourself short, right? Like, the reason why I even used it was because the content was good, right? Like, it was just a good story that I didn't think anyone had, right, and was willing to talk about. So you're doing good work. So keep it up, and I'm sure we'll collab on something soon. So appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah.
If you can involve Omar Kelly, I'm on, because I have been pushing to in France. You have a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's too hard with this team," and I'm the few saying, "No, it's very, very fair, tough but fair," and this is important. And Isaiah, I want to add this, because that Richmond also take his time every week to talk with the fan all over the world. Because I'm in France, I'm trying to promote American football the way I can, and he's doing that, connecting with fans, talking with them like they are a bunch of dudes having a beer in a bar and just talking about football. And you know what? Sometimes they can say something crazy like I'm doing every week, but it's like, oh yeah, it's cool, but you don't want to put to be seen as the expert. And you know what? That's what I'm respectful of what you have been doing today, Isaiah, with me, because you make me feel comfortable, and I know I'm just a fan, especially in France. So what I'm talking about, I should talk just about soccer, because we just know that. But I want you to thank you to make me feel like I'm just a normal guy with you, and this is great. So thank you, Richmond. I let you the final word for our man Isaiah.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate you for your time, Isaiah. Thank you so much for coming on. And brother, the article was over the top, because when I didn't actually get a chance to read it, but I saw screenshots of how large it was. But thank you for that. And man, I enjoyed the conversation we had. And I know you got to roll, and I know you're busy, man, but I appreciate you taking time today, because we're trying to schedule we could. But thank you, and nothing but love from me to you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. For sure.
Subscribe to the channel that I will put on the description to follow Isaiah. Don't subscribe to my channel, because Richmond and I are just going crazy every week. We don't need followers, but you are doing an excellent work. So you should continue. And you know what? You know what is crazy? Today you was almost close to talk about the greatest player who played with the Miami Dolphins, because my name is Dan Moreno, by the way. But like Richmond tell me every day, you are not the Dan Moreno. Even with the ladies, I try it, but doesn't work. Hey, I appreciate everybody to put positive comment to Isaiah and go to his channel and see the work. I will put all the contact. Thank you very much. Hey, let's visit the Steelers.
Great show again. I'm glad you got an opportunity to tune in. If you don't mind, we appreciate the comments. We're trying to do better. If it's some suggestions you would like to make, we're always open to them. But any critiques or whatever, how we can improve the show, we welcome those. And if we can make it happen for you guys, we'll. But thanks for always tuning in with us. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.